Welcome to episode 30 of the Chi-Town Shoot Wrestling Podcast. I'm Marcin, and joining me in the squared circle today are Chris and David. We're coming at you from the heart of the wrestling world, Chicago, Illinois, bringing you the latest news, hottest takes, and all things WWE and AEW. Today, we have another special episode. We're not going to be talking about WWE and AEW. We're going to be talking about our favorite photographer and cinematographer in the pro wrestling world in Chicago, Illinois, Nick Cameraguygimmick. I think that's your handle. How's it going, Nick? How's it going?
Going pretty well. Pretty standard Monday. Nothing crazy. I got a lot of editing to do after this, but that's every day.
I can't imagine because I mean, I feel like any local wrestling show that we see, or indie wrestling show, or even we go to New Japan and we see your shirts and your lovely locks of hair on the floor recording and taking pictures of wrestling matches. So we've seen you at a bunch of shows. Freelance, of course, I think the most often that we've been to. But I wanted to first kind of ask you how you got into wrestling in general, as a fan, from a fan's perspective. When did you start getting interested in wrestling?
Man, dude. I don't know. I think I was like 2, maybe 1. I don't like some of my first memories are watching the Bulls play, like Michael Jordan. I was born in '94.
Nice.
So some of my earliest memories is like sitting down on the couch watching TV with my dad, and my dad's not a wrestling fan at all. I think he just, like, at the time wrestling was trendy, like in '96, right? Like it was kind of, that's when it started becoming more popular, because they kind of had like a slow '90s until the mid '90s, and then '96, '97 really started to turn for them, and they got more business. So I think when that time came, it became popular, and then my dad started to watch it just because, and I just latched onto it. So ever since I could remember, I've been a fan.
Nice. Yeah, I mean you're not that much younger than us. We're like 91. David, are you 92 or 91?
We're a year apart. I'm 93.
You're 93, yeah. So we're all kind of in the same era. Yeah, I think we did like late 90s, early 2000s, and then me and Chris took a break, and then we came back into it like 2006-ish. And we basically haven't stopped watching since. And then David, I guess you were kind of having a similar trajectory, except you stopped during like the 2010s, 07, yeah, during that
07,
era.
08-ish till like 2013. I took a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped watching in 2009, 2010 era. About, I was done with Cena. And then I came back. I have to say that saying this out loud makes me hate myself.
Say it.
I came back in 2017 for Goldberg.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Who's next?
Hey, I was excited to see Goldberg too, just because, I didn't get a chance to. It's obviously not the same as WCW Goldberg, or even when he showed up in like 2003 in WWE, but I still thought it was cool. So I wouldn't hate yourself, if I were you, for that reason.
Goldberg. I love Goldberg. Even growing up as a WWF kid, like I never watched WCW, but I always loved Goldberg for whatever reason. Probably because he looked like Stone Cold.
Right.
So when he came in '03, and even watching it now, like that run isn't that bad. Like it's not horrible. I've seen worse runs for sure, and we're not talking about the Mania match with Lesnar. I'm talking about the '03 run as a whole. I don't think it's that bad. I think people just shit on it for no reason.
The narrative that he wasn't into it is taking over, like the substance of it.
Right. But dude, he's like giving out like some of the best, like in that chamber at SummerSlam 2003. He like has like Orton in this gorilla press, and then he like drops him into a spine buster. Like he was doing some crazy shit in '03 because he had to.
Yeah.
WWE wasn't letting him have those squash matches.
Yeah. Well, let's get into a little bit. I guess I'm kind of curious where your interest in cinematography and photography came from. Is it tied in with like the wrestling part, or I mean, I guess you'd probably be into photography before that, right?
Yeah, so I kind of started with music videos. Like the whole reason I picked up a camera was because I knew this kid that shot music videos, and I've always been good with Photoshop and I've always been computer savvy.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was watching him edit this video, and I'm like, dude, I can do this, and he was making money. So I'm like, cool. So I didn't go to any kind of camera. I didn't take any classes at all. Like I just bought a camera and just started doing it. Music videos. Then I kind of fell into photography because my computer at that time, it just took forever to edit videos, so it was easier for me to take pictures. So then I just started taking pictures. Um, I was very involved in like the SoundCloud era. Like I knew a lot of promoters that were booking concerts in like local venues. So that helped me get material to grow my portfolio, to eventually get an internship at House of Blues in Chicago.
Nice.
Which is what I was doing when I started wrestling. Like when I started in wrestling, I should say. I was finishing up my internship at House of Blues in Chicago.
What does an internship at House of Blues look like? What did they make you do?
Bitch work pretty much. Oh, I don't know if I can swear. Sorry.
Sure. You can.
Fuck yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Pretty much just the standard like young boy shit. You know, help this person like bring this guy's bag. Blah blah blah. And you don't get to shoot. You have 3 songs you get to shoot in the pit, and then you have to leave. Like after the first 3 songs, you're done, and then all the house photographers get to stay and do their thing.
Do you pick and choose, like as an intern you're not there full time, right? Do you pick and choose like what bands you get to record?
Kind of like I was able to like not necessarily choose. Like I if I wanted to, I could throw it out there, but it was never guaranteed because at the end of the day, it had to be approved from the band or the artist. So it didn't. They're kind of like a middleman. House of Blues in a way. Any venue actually is like a middleman.
Yep. What kind of music videos were you shooting? Like what bands or whatever?
At the time, I was doing anything. So I remember I was in LA and I did this like punk rock. It's like this all girl band. And they did like some video in like the heart of LA. I've done rap videos. Like I did more hip hop rap than anything, just because that era. That's pretty much what took over everything. In
SoundCloud, yep.
Right.
SoundCloud
So
and
that's pretty
video.
much where I fell.
Nope.
And what would you say? What kind of music are you personally interested in?
Not that. I'm a big like my 2 favorite bands are Alice in Chains and Him.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
I'm a big Black Sabbath. Literally any punk rock. Like I'm Blink, Green Day. I'm pretty diverse when it comes to music. Like I'd also listen to, like, if you put on Sinatra, I could deal with it. My girlfriend's a big like Monkees fan. She likes Monkees and the Beatles and shit. So there's not a whole lot of modern music that plays around me, unless it's like Chief Keef, because I'll get down to some fucking Chief Keef for sure.
What? Speaking of
that's a
Black
good
Sabbath,
selection.
what did you think about that reunion show that's
What
happening.
I would do to fucking be there.
Right.
I actually one of the people I follow, she's a designer. Actually, she designed stuff for Kiss. Some of
Oh,
the
cool.
tour merch. She was trying to score tickets for that, and Ticketmaster fucked her, and she wasn't able to get it. But they were like $600 or $700 for nosebleeds.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I heard that he's not even gonna like really perform a set with Black Sabbath, but the lineup itself is pretty stacked. So I guess they're trying to compensate for the lack of Ozzy doing his thing. I bet
That's
you.
because
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
noticed they had like Fred Durst, like it says Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit. It doesn't say Limp Bizkit. So like I wonder if like Fred Durst is gonna perform with Black Sabbath. I don't know.
That'd be crazy. Or maybe they'll have like multiple vocalists doing Black
Right.
Sabbath songs. And he's just going to be, I was saying like earlier to a friend that he's going to be propped up on like a throne and just kind of like overseeing the whole thing like he's in a Macy parade or something.
That's what he did at his last one, right? He was like in a big ass chair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, if he wants to do it, I guess more power to him. I mean, his manager is his wife, so I mean, I would think that she wouldn't put him in a situation where he wouldn't want to. And I'm sure he has say in it. So
Yeah. I'm sure his heart is still in it. I mean, he doesn't need to do that anymore. Fucking he didn't need to do it 10 years ago. I'm sure he's more than well set.
Yep.
yeah, for sure. Well, you know what? Let's we talked about your cinematography and your photography, so I kind of want to start getting into that wrestling aspect. How did you take your photography and cinematography, and how did you break into the wrestling industry?
Okay, so I was leaving a Starcast. It was the first All Out 2019. So I was leaving Starcast and I seen Steve from Warrior Wrestling, which is like a local Chicago promotion. I think they changed the name now to Pro Wrestling Ventures. But Warrior Wrestling, for people that don't know, or if you guys don't know or whatever, like they were a super indie. Like those are the shows they were putting on. When I seen that this guy was handing out flyers, I took one, I kept walking. I didn't think much of it. When I looked at the flyer, I seen like names that I knew. Like Mick Foley was there for whatever reason. I think all the Lucha Brothers were on there.
Sweet.
There was just it made me inclined to turn around and talk to the guy that gave me the flyer. So I walked up to Steve and I'm like, "Hey, do you guys like need a extra set of lenses?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And that's pretty much how that started. I'm not making this up. The very first picture I've ever taken that was wrestling related is a picture of Mick Foley talking to Frank Mir. It's like, what the fuck? And that was my first experience. Like, and again, I grew up a fan, so I'm basically starting where other people in this field want to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I know people that would like work for free to work with Brian Cage or the Lucha. You know what I'm saying? Like just these guys.
So how does that snowball? So they basically say, yeah, sure, we could, use you and your photography skills, and then you start. I mean, you don't just work for one promotion. You basically work for the entire Chicagoland area and then some. How does that? So is it word of mouth? Do you just go to do promotions talk to each other like, hey, this guy's good, you can use him?
Do you
What
does
come
that
with
look like?
Logan Square Auditorium? Like, are you
What's
part of
that?
the package?
No.
Yeah, do you come with Logan Square
Yeah,
Auditorium?
are you
No,
part
I
of the package?
don't. I don't. You would think,
Yeah.
bro. I should just keep an air mattress there. I'm there all the fucking time.
That's what I'm saying, dude. They got that office for rent. Just let you throw your
For
setup
real,
in
bro.
there.
Yeah. I don't think it's the promote. Honestly, dude, like promoters, I would guess if they had to choose, they wouldn't want me to work anywhere else besides their promotion because it just gives an alternate perspective on the product, and they probably want that to be exclusive. But yeah, more so, I don't know. I think it was just honestly me like grinding than anything. I'm sure people
Yeah.
said good things about me, or maybe they didn't.
Hmm.
I was putting myself out there so much that you weren't not gonna see my pictures. I was
Right.
working in I was doing fourth wall wrestling in Wisconsin and like other random promotions in Wisconsin. I was doing CSW, I was doing Warrior Wrestling, I was doing AAW, I was doing Northland Pro. I was literally doing anything um because people were seeing my stuff. It got to a point where I didn't need to reach out to anybody because and I'm not saying this like as blowing just I'll be the first person to tell you I ain't shit. I'm
Right.
not blowing smoke up my own ass. I never
Yeah.
would. But I'm just saying it got to a point where I didn't need to contact people and that's just kind of where I'm at now. The whole like AEW New Japan stuff that just kind of happens because you're in the right place at the right time. New Japan that's different. Like I have a relationship with them. So like they've flown me out to Washington, I think it was when they did like the Capitol
Yeah,
Collision.
that's in DC.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
then like they did a strong taping at the ECW arena, so we drove. Like I have a relationship with them, so it's a little different. But yeah, dude, it's honestly I think just because I was everywhere and people
Yeah,
didn't
you
have
put
like
the work in. Yeah, they know
yeah,
you're
bro.
gonna show up. If you show up everywhere, they know when they call you, you're gonna be there.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
I was also taking ringside and promo photos, which like is not very common in wrestling. Usually they'll have one guy that does promo photos because they're like not everybody's in gear at the same time. So how I can't be by the ring and get this part of the match if you need me to get pictures of this guy in his gear or with the title or whatever it might be.
Right.
Um so I was doing both just because I was again trying to put my name out there, and I think that was pretty intriguing to a lot of people too. And then I started telling people I'm good at graphic design, and then I started designing flyers for CSW and for Zello Pro and all these other people. So I don't know, man. I guess it's like a combination of grinding and like word of mouth.
And also, the thing is, it's good that you're, I mean, jack of all trades. I mean, I feel like that's an understatement because I think you're really good at doing vignettes and recording promos for wrestlers, and you're great at taking pictures. And I've seen your stuff on your portfolio, so I think it's great that you're basically, like a triple threat. And I think it's helpful, especially when you're reaching out. And but you did touch upon it, and that kind of piqued my interest is that you have a relationship with New Japan. How did that start? How did you get into bed with New Japan Pro Wrestling?
Let me think. I want to say, if I remember correctly, I got a random email from a Japanese name. Like it was somebody who I definitely did not know. And they just asked me if I wanted to shoot the Windy City Riot, the first one. And I remember that moment very vividly because that was one of the only times where I've ever felt proud and like that I actually accomplished something is reading that email. And like I called my mom and my mom doesn't know shit about wrestling. I called my mom and I'm like crying because like this is a big deal to me, right?
It's a big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just how it started. So I don't know if somebody gave them my email, maybe that's what I'm guessing, or they seen it on my profile. I don't know, but uh, her name was what the fuck? She's not there anymore. She's not with New Japan anymore. Oh God, I can't remember her name. But she was super nice. Um, and that snowballed into me working the Capital Collision show, which was like maybe a month or two later. I don't know. And then we did the strong tapings after that. Uh, and then I think the next year was when Ric Flair had his last match, and then they had that StarCast in Nashville,
Mhm.
and then they ran a show there, and I just so happened to be there, and they know me because I've worked with them, so I worked that show, and then yeah. So whenever they come in the Midwest area is usually when they use me, because they have their own pockets of people. They have a dojo in Cali, right? So like if
Yeah.
they run out of Cali, they don't need to. Why would they fly me out there? Because they don't need me. So yeah, I don't know. It just kind of like I said, right place, right time. Honestly, anybody could have did that job. I don't think they care that much about the quality. New Japan, they're more so of like time. Like they want to get shit out. Like they don't care if it's a little blurry. Um, so yeah, it's very interesting, and I love working for them too because they let you do whatever they want or whatever you want. I'm sorry, like they tell you get on hard cam if you need to get the shot, and they will get pissed at you if you don't get on hard cam to get the shot. And they take care of everybody, and they're just good people.
And what does it look like in terms of, because I mean every promotion is different, you know, in terms of you know, like payment. Is it the same like from promotion to promotion? Like how does that work? Like between, is it like a handshake deal and then you know you get it later, or do you have like a contract? Like what does that look like when it comes to like folks like New Japan or AEW or people like that?
Okay, so like New Japan, AW, no, like you don't get a contract. They just if you work for them, like I'm sure you get a contract, like actually work for them. But if you're doing like that's still considered a freelance gig because what they what they do is they write freelance. I'm sorry, New Japan. They write you a check because they have to keep track of their expenses. So you get issued a 1099 because you're a freelancing for a company. So people like I'm sorry, companies like New Japan or AEW is like nowhere near indie etiquette or pay. Like uh it really depends who I'm working for, what I'm doing. Like sometimes I'll just leave the venue without getting paid. I know they're gonna pay me, but everybody else has to get paid. I don't want to stand around and wait. Like I live far, whatever my issue or excuse is. So it kind of varies. And doing video, you make a little bit more money than just taking pictures.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very. I'm always fascinated by like how the mechanics of all this works. You know, so thank you for indulging me. Um, so what? So you've been doing this for quite a while. What was your first wrestling event that you photographed? Do you remember what that was like?
Craft.
Yeah.
My first, it was yeah. So it was that Warrior Wrestling 6. So Steve told me he was like, yeah. He's like, you can do that. And I'm like, oh fuck yeah. So that was the first one that I shot, and like I said, it was like the Lucha Bros versus like Tessa Blanchard and whatever her husband or ex-husband, Daga or Daga, I forgot what his name is, but there was just it was a stacked card, and that was my introduction to wrestling. That was my first show, and then I think my second show was the Stadium Series. They started doing shows outside during COVID. Um, so that's like when my second show with them, I should say. I'm sorry. So that's like when I became a regular with Warrior Wrestling. They started doing it was called Stadium Series, and they were doing these shows on football fields because Steve is a principal of a school, so he fucking is able to use the football field as a venue. Um,
Good
but the
perk.
second promotion I started working for was AAW, and that was like 2019.
And what do you think? Like when you take a picture or a photo, what do you feel like? Like, do you know what are the check marks for you when you think it's like a good shot or not a good shot? Are you like super critical of your photography? Like, how do you approach your
Yes.
work?
I am my own worst enemy. I am a perfectionist, and I'm also I'm sure I have some sort of ADD. Like I can't things that probably nobody would ever notice. I will pick out and like spend 20 minutes on fixing or stuff like that, which is another reason why I've kind of moved into the video spot is because I can have like let's say I shoot a 3-hour show, right? And then I have 10,000 pictures that I have to go through. And then I have to pick which ones out of those 10. Then this isn't like, I'm not exaggerating. The way that I shoot high speed. So I'm shooting like 4 frames a second. So I'm getting a shitload of pictures. So I'll legit have to go through like 10,000 pictures, pick 300 or however many are good, and then edit all of them on top of that. So it's a very like it's very mentally exhausting when you're trying to uh perfect it and do it the way that you see it or you want it to be perceived. And I have a really hard time with that. It's probably my biggest flaw.
I mean, I can only imagine it's like 10,000 pictures. Like if you see like 10 that are super good, then you're like, all right, well, I have to scrap this one, but then maybe you'll get second thoughts, and then you're like, oh, maybe I should like restore this picture or whatever because I think it's good, And is there a specific number that the company asked, or is it like your own personal number where you're like, all right, well, I think these 300 or 200 pictures are good, or do they give you a specific quota or number of images that they need?
No, it's just me like delivering whatever I have. But like on the back end of that statement, you shouldn't shoot a 3-hour show and only have 90 pictures.
Yeah.
Right.
There has to be a level where you're being realistic to what you're doing and how lazy you want to be while doing it. You know what I mean? And to hop back to like your previous question, when you work the same people with the same people, you learn their move sets and you learn their spots and you know where to position yourself to be in the right angle at the right time because you have the familiarity of working with the same people. So, if I'm working with, let's say, Davey and August, and they're wrestling Coda and Darius, like I know when Davey and August are gonna do the tower spot. I know when Coda's gonna do his Eddie Guerrero over the top rope shoulder drop. Like I know their spots because I work with them all the time. So it's easier for me, I think, to find a good photo because of reasons like that. It's harder when I shoot when it's my first time working with somebody and I'm not familiar with what they do.
See that? Yeah, that's actually a good segue because that was going to be my question. Well, like what your approach is from from show to show. Do you see what is your approach? Now you kind of mentioned that it's easier when you know the people who are in the matches because you understand where their spots are, their signature moves, and you understand when to take the pictures. Do you assess like the match card and then do you do some research on some of the wrestlers beforehand? Like, oh, let me see some YouTube videos of like what this person does. And then the other part to this question is, does the when you're approaching these shows, does the venue affect how you decide how to take the pictures? Like because not every venue has the same lighting. Wrestling match or wrestling venues typically have a similar layout, but not always. Does that go into your decision making when you're taking pictures?
Yeah, 100%. So the venue thing is constantly a struggle because specifically with photography because the way that you have to shoot wrestling or not wrestling, but if you're trying to photograph movement and get clear images or stills, you need to have a high frame rate, and the higher your frame rate is, the less light is coming into your camera. So then you have to, this is all fucking camera nerd talk, I know. Then you have to bump up your ISO to compensate for the light loss or the darkness. And when you bump up your ISO, that's when you see pictures that are like really grainy or like they have like fuzz. I fucking cannot stand that. I cannot stand it, but I can't avoid it because I'm not a photographer that shoots with flash. I don't like flash. I am fans of people that use flash. I just personally, for my own style, I don't like the way that my stuff looks with flash.
Yeah.
So I don't have any way to compensate for the lack of light besides bumping up my ISO. Now when I'm doing a video, it's completely different. I can have a really low ISO because I'm not taking pictures. So my shutter speed can be way lower than if I were to be snapping pictures. It's all fucking camera nerd shit. But
I think it's fascinating.
what was the first part of the question?
Well, I think you kind of already talked about it where, in terms of approaching like wrestlers that maybe you haven't seen or know as well, like do you do any kind of research on them, like watching YouTube videos or anything like that? Like how do you approach those wrestlers that you don't know as well when you're taking pictures?
It depends, yeah. I mean, I'll try to find some kind of. I mean, we have so many like wrestling with unicorns and stuff, right? Like we have so many different ways we can see clips of these guys or girls that are doing stuff. So it depends who it is. Like I remember the first time I worked with Vikingo, I definitely watched some of his stuff just because I heard like he does insane shit. So I had to prep myself for that because I didn't know what to expect. But for the most part, I just kind of feel it out. I mean, unless unless I know they do some kind of crazy spot, like Danhausen does the tequila spot, like if it's something like that, then I'll watch it just to make sure I know when it's coming and where to be. But other than that, I just kind of play it by ear.
Now you also do like you also I mean we talked about you recording stuff in terms of like promos, vignettes and those kinds of things. When did you start doing that part of the wrestling business?
Just recently, like last year, I started. So I kind of got in this funk where I got like burnt out of doing photography, like taking pictures. Your ceiling is so high. You can't go like I felt like I couldn't do much else besides get signed, and it's like I'm not gonna
Yeah.
get signed anytime soon because I know the people that work there, and I know that they're not gonna leave.
hmm
I literally know
Yeah.
who they are. So um I just have to like which and to be honest with you, I don't even know if I got offered a job. I don't really know if I would take it or not because it would really depend on like what they would want me to do, what restrictions I would have, all that kind of stuff. Um but I as much as I would love to like work for a big company, uh I really enjoy the small independent shows because it feels like we're all like it's more of a family vibe, like you see the same people at the same shows
For sure.
and it's just cool to meet up with everybody and then we all get to watch these athletes progress as athletes and make names for themselves and become bigger than the first time we seen them and that's part of the my gratification, a big part of the joy, because I don't get a lot of joy in this. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mhm.
Um, I love watching other people succeed. So, like when Sky got signed, Sky Blue, and I knew she was gonna get signed when I first started working with her, because you just know, like when somebody has it, and seeing her do everything she's done, like she just got an action figure and shit, like dude, stuff like that is so cool. And if I didn't work indie shows, I wouldn't get to experience stuff like that. Maybe I would, but to a less extent because I know NXT has like their program with athletes and whatever. But you know what I'm saying. Um, I don't know, dude. It's just I the camaraderie is a really big selling point to me also. Like I like to consider myself friends with a lot of the freelance um locker room. Like we talk more than just in the locker room, you know.
Right.
So it's sorry, I'm like going off on a tangent, but those are just things that actually mean something to me in wrestling. And never do I take anything that I do for granted because I know people would do what I do for free just to do it, just to have that experience. But to wrap back around the video stuff, I couldn't do much else with the photography, and I have the experience with video. So what I did was I presented. I want to say it was Alfonso. Or no, it was Trevor. Trevor, I think, was the first one that Trevor Outlaw was the first one that asked me to do a vignette for him, and I was like, yeah, we could do that, and that just kind of snowballed into me sticking with that because I like it so much, and it was so easy and it felt natural. Um, and Trevor's so easy to work with; like he made it very easy for me. So it just felt like it was the right direction. Plus, that's where everything is kind of moving now, social media wise. Everything is reels and videos and short clips. So I might as well just go with the flow instead of trying to, swim against the current.
I agree. I mean, you talked about how, there is a ceiling with the photography because you feel like you've shot all you can, but I think you should also take solace in the fact that you are a really big part of like the Chicago wrestling scene. Like you're kind of like, I don't know, like if we go to a wrestling show, it's great to see you there because it does feel like a community because like like you said, the people in the audience, the people who are photographing the show, wrestlers who are in the circuit. I think you should be proud of the fact that you're so embedded in that Chicago wrestling scene. Chicago wrestling is long, it's very storied, and it's also like one of the biggest cities and one of the most passionate fan bases, especially in pro wrestling. So I think you should be proud of that. But so, what do you feel like is the difference in terms of shooting cinematic content like promos or vignette and photography? What do you feel like is the biggest difference in your approach between the two?
Well, in my approach is completely different. Like I'm I'm not as laxed when I'm doing cinema stuff because I want to make sure that I get everything. I'm big in my recap videos with the storytelling part. Like I feel like a lot of these people that make recap videos for promotions, they're just like cool highlight videos, which is cool to watch, but I want to try to the diehard fans that are watching every month that care. I'm trying to tell the story again, just with my camera. You know what I mean?
Right.
So my approach is like completely different when I do videography opposed to photography because I'm not gonna take pictures of like a fucking chin lock. Like for what? No one's gonna post
Right.
that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I could use
Randy
it.
Orton, maybe, I guess.
Exactly right. I could use it maybe as like a 2-second short or something like in a recap video. So my approach is completely different. I think that my thought process behind what I'm trying to do is I believe that independent wrestling has the potential to still be what it used to be when maybe not as hardcore as the territory days because like kayfabe's long gone, but if you're gonna fabe and the fans are gonna fabe and you're in the building, like just stick with the character, just stick with it on fucking social media, and it'll pan out, and everybody will think you're an asshole or a good guy or whatever. And these vignettes, I think can really drive certain characters in that direction. And it can help the fandom in a way where, put it this way, there should be, like, Mance Warner shouldn't be able to go to a Target and, like, people not know who he is. At least some people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There should be a bigger space in independent wrestling for fandom, which is, I'm trying to add quality to the what these people are trying to deliver to their audience, so that it comes off as professional, so that maybe if somebody does see it, they might become a fan because, hey, this guy cares about his shit. It's just,
Right.
again, my thought process is it can be bigger than what it is, and it, because the internet is what it is, it's not. But I'm trying to help change that.
That's a good philosophy.
Us too, just different side.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you feel? I mean, you've done this for quite a bit, and you've done photography and you've done cinematography. Is there any specific moment that kind of sticks out to you behind the lens? And it could be pictures and taking video. I know on your portfolio you have Sting at the top of your, as it like the cover. Would you say that's one of your highlights?
Yeah. Well, that was like, that was All Out 2021, I think.
Yeah.
And I got approved to do that, which was awesome. Like, that was the first time I worked in Wintrust. That was a highlight for sure. I think my biggest highlight probably would be, God, man, it's a good question. Especially for somebody that, like, doesn't, I really don't think that I'm all that great.
Did you take those pictures of Mox winning the NJPW?
Yeah, I was
That's a
gonna say
pretty big milestone.
that's
That shit was
probably
great.
that's probably one of my highlights for sure. I was actually, like, in some Japanese magazine, like,
Right.
because of the New Japan show, and I know somebody that lives in Japan, so they had I have it. They mailed me the magazine.
You gotta frame that shit.
Yeah, so and then, like, they used my picture for, like, the T-shirt, like, when he won. It's on the front of the, or it's on the back of it, like, my picture. So I bought like 3 of them just because I wanted to wear, one to keep, and then one to fucking put up and hang or whatever. That's probably, I don't know if it's my biggest highlight, but it's one of them. I guess another one would probably be, like, one of my photos is on the very first cover of the women's PWI. So that's pretty
awesome.
cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I think those are two pretty solid ones. Oh, Ruby Soho and Josh Alexander. I got to shoot that match at AEW, and it was dude, I
Okay.
got goosebumps. It was like one of the only times
Right.
I've ever got goosebumps in wrestling, just because the crowd was fucking insane. Um, so yeah, like, those 3 moments are pretty. They mean something.
I mean, those are great moments. Yeah, I mean, like those images from the New Japan from that show, because we did go to Windy City Riot. That was when was it last year?
Yeah,
Was that the one last year?
Spring.
they've had
Last spring.
2 or 3, I think, that or 2.
Yeah, the Mox one was last spring.
That was
Yeah.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. So yeah, good job, good job with those pictures. So I know that we've talked about you being in AEW and New Japan and places like GCW. How do you feel like? What do you feel like the difference is between working with, like, a larger promotion versus, like, an intimate indie show? Is it the more red tape and bureaucracy in between, or do you feel like it's similar in vibe for you?
It's pretty much the same, to be honest. Like, it's not that different. I mean, it's obviously a lot more professional and put together and organized, but it's not wrestling at the end of the day is still wrestling, and shit can still change in a second. Like, it's not that different. I think really the main thing is just probably if there's one thing that sticks out to me, it would just be the locker room. Kind of goes back to like the camaraderie thing. If you're working like a bigger show that maybe they have their guys and then they have some other guys that they fly in, it doesn't feel as tight knit. But that's nothing. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. That's just the vibe that I get. It might just be me also, you know. It's not that much of a difference.
In terms of the wrestling industry as a whole, because you've been kind of, like I said, you've been around it for quite a bit. What do you feel like is the most surprising thing you've learned about the industry that maybe you didn't know before? I know you talked about the camaraderie. Was there anything else that you kind of learned, or you kind of
fake?
That it's fake.
No, honestly, dude, there's a lot. Man. They're like wrestling production doesn't get nearly enough credit. Like the people that are behind the lights and people like that, dude, they don't get nearly enough credit as they should, because
that's for sure.
They're as much of a part of the show as I am, like, and it sucks, it sucks, but it's just because people don't see them, so it makes it harder to be appreciated, obviously, like when you don't put your face out there.
That's for sure. And in terms of like, I mean, because you're in the thick of it, you're taking pictures. People are running into barricades, and you might have to dodge and get out of the way. Are there any like anything that sticks out to you in terms of like moments while you're shooting a show? Did you ever have to interact with any of the wrestlers afterwards, or anything along those lines?
Oh, Jesus.
Anything that you can say that won't get you sued?
Yeah. Okay, stick with me here. So
I'm following you.
I won't say there's okay. There's been a few times actually that there's been issues, like weird fucking issues that like would not be an issue outside of anywhere but wrestling. But before I talk about that part, so I've been hit with a door.
How did that happen?
Matt Justice fucking threw it at me.
Oh my god.
I've been hit with a chair, like not like fucking. I'm just saying, like they threw it and I got hit with it. I've been hit with a chair. I've been, whatever. I Alex Shelley fucking stiffed me, bro. Like literally, bro. I have a video of it. Like I didn't realize it at the time because I was shooting, but like people were coming up to me afterwards and were like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So this isn't even what I was gonna bring up before. I'm just talking about this because I don't fuck Alex Shelley. He's a piece of shit. So
sorry, Alex Shelley.
Dude, no, listen. So okay, because how the fuck am I supposed to know this? Like, don't fucking treat me like
right.
That. So they're set. It's Jake something in Speedball versus Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, and it's at Deadlock, and they're setting up this spot where everybody's in the ring, and they're setting up this spot, but they're gonna powder out to the outside, and again, how the fuck am I supposed to know this? So on the one side of the ring, it's me, Roman, Cam, and I think Tony D might have been on the other side, the other turnbuckle. So, he had already said something to me, Alex Shelley, like during the match, and I just thought he was being fucking in character. I don't remember what he said, but he for sure said something. And then he powdered. So they do the spot. It was like that. It was when it's like when Jake power bombs fucking somebody on top of somebody else. So he power bombed, I think, Saban on top of Shelly. Shelly powders out, and then Bailey follows him out, and then throws him into the post. Well, everybody's moving a million miles a fucking minute, and
Right.
I'm just like hugging the ring. Like I don't want to get in the roaming cam's way and like be on the stream. So I'm just trying to fucking so as he's running past me because he gets whipped, right? He fucking literally fucking clubs me in my fucking head. Like,
Oh my god.
yeah, bro. And then
What
takes the
piece of
bump on the ring post.
shit.
No, he is. He's a fucking piece of shit. And
Yeah.
Because he's little.
I have the clip. I can send it to you guys. But
Yeah.
You got evidence for court.
Dude, people fucking.
his ass.
I love Deadlock. Those are my guys, and it's nothing on them, obviously. Like, whatever. Shit happens. I get it.
Wrestling's wrestling.
Yeah, dude. Fucking that. And then there was another time. This is the one that I was gonna say. I won't say his name, but so I was taking promo photos before the start of this show, and the way that this venue is laid out is it's very small. So here's the curtain, and like literally right behind the curtain, I have my backdrop with my lights. So right where we can take pictures, you can go do your entrance within like fucking 30 seconds. So the promoter was adamant that I got photos before they wrestled because he didn't want photos of them all sweaty or their hair fucked up. And it's just, that's how it is in wrestling. Usually you take pictures before you wrestle.
Mhm.
So this guy got fucking literally pissed off that I asked him to take his picture. And he tells me, no, I'll just do it after my match. And I told him, I'm like, okay. I'm like, but he said like he wants them now. So why don't we do it now? Because the general manager of that show opens up every show with a promo, and this guy's the first match. So I'm like, let's do it now before your match. Gets in my fucking face and is telling me, what the fuck you gonna do about it? What the fuck you gonna do about it? And this guy's like, I'm only 5'9". This guy's like maybe 6'1". Fucking he was just doing push-ups and shit, getting a pump. In my face, bro, to the point where there are people like separating him from me, and I'm just.
Oh my god!
I'm just standing there, bro. I'm not jacked. I'm holding a camera
Over a picture? Like what?
over
Like
a fucking promo
that's
photo.
insane.
Sounds
Yeah,
like
but-
Trent.
They injected that trend real quick.
Yeah,
Sounds like
he
Trent.
was in the zone.
You
Yeah.
never know, like when you're gonna deal with. Which I get. I understand. Like I get it. Like, I get irritated very easily. So if I was already kind of in a mood, or if I just ran like 2 miles and then someone was like, "Oh, do this," and I didn't want to do it, and then that person said, "Okay, well, it's my job, so you need to do it," I'd probably get pissed off too. But again, like I'm getting paid to fucking take pictures. Like, what the fuck do you want me to do?
Yeah, and your
Right.
promoter is telling you to do it. It's not like you're
Right.
personally asking him.
So yeah, you run into it here and there. I've never had anything like significant happen where, I mean, I guess the Shelly thing, but that's whatever.
And in terms of, I guess, shooting wrestlers, who would you say is the most fun to shoot with? And I guess that could be photography or cinematography.
All right, I got 3. Alfonso Gonzalez.
For sure.
He actually lives like 15 minutes away from me, so and me and him both live in like buttfuck Illinois. We live in there's goat yoga by my house.
Yeah.
Like that's how far in fucking nowhere I am. He's amazing to shoot with. He's such a fucking funny guy, and I love his character. And he cares so much about how he presents himself as a wrestler, and I find that admirable because if you care that much to where you want professional looking vignettes or whatever, then you care, and that's good.
And you shot those like those training videos for him and that kind of stuff?
That was at his
Yeah.
house. He has like
Yeah,
him in his basement.
that was awesome.
And then we had we went to a park to shoot one scene, and he's in full gear. Like robe, bandana. We're at a park, and there's a fucking little kid and his mom just, like, playing on the park, and my girlfriend had to go up to him and be like, "Hey, we're gonna film something, just so you know. Like, you guys won't be on camera, don't worry." And they left because why the fuck would you not leave a grown ass man in tights on a swing on a fucking?
Like, I don't know what they're shooting.
Yeah, right. And then here I am filming. I'm like, what the fuck kind of freak show is this? So yeah, Alfonso. I think my second one would have to be Becca, B3CCA Becca. She is my favorite like gimmick wrestler right now. I love the pop star gimmick. I think it's fucking hilarious. Especially because like we all come from that era where like we would see these ridiculous TMZ posts where fucking whatever, Britney Spears shaves her head. She'll do those she'll make her posts look like that. I think she got injured like last year, and instead of saying she got injured, she said she was on house arrest. She would like post pictures with this fake ankle monitor on and shit.
That's good.
She's a really good one, and she's a really good person. Love her. And then I think my third would have to be Santana Jackson, because how can you not? How can you not get good material with Santana Jackson? I actually thought today, what would be a fucking badass match? Santana Jackson versus Becca. Pop star versus pop star.
That'd be
great, man. Book.
You gotta tell the other Nick to book that match at Freelance. That'd be awesome.
He didn't give me no credit for that Alfonso Santana Jackson shit. That
was your idea?
That was my idea. I tweeted that. Like, so we went, okay. Video from dancing. Have any of you seen that clip? Alfonso at the club?
Yeah.
You seen that? Okay.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so we went. That was at Trevor Outlaw's birthday party. So we went to Bourbon Street, which is like a venue that AEW used to run. They don't run it anymore because they lost the license, the entertainment license, so they can't run shit like that anymore out of there. But we had went there, and dude, it was like Jersey Shore. Like, this guy was trying to dance battle Davey, because Davey can dance, and like Davey was like doing his thing and whatever, like we were all fucking around, but Davey was like dancing, and then this guy in a white button-up shirt just came out of nowhere and is like trying to fucking dance battle with Davey. So they start doing it. I have footage of all this. Eventually, I'm gonna put out like a video, like a behind the scenes of Freelance thing, and I'm gonna put it in there. But
you gotta.
Alfonso just comes out of nowhere, like literally out of the crowd, and just starts doing this whole Michael Jackson fucking routine, bro, like to a T. To a fucking T. To the point where now he's battling with this guy and the DJ's playing Thriller. So it is fucking full on.
Oh man.
Yeah, dude, I love Alfonso. That's one of my favorite guys. Him, Coda, Trevor, Davey, like I said, everybody from Freelance, like those are my guys. I love all those guys.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Alfonso's comedy. I mean, we talked about it with Coda too. Like whatever his like passion for the business is, or like his attention to his character, it really translates into what he does in the ring. And we also all agreed that the most entertaining match was that. Well, I think it was in January, right? With Santana Jackson. That was probably one of the highlights, with like blanket hanging over the balcony and all that.
December, yeah, it was.
It was December. Yeah, I think you're right.
He told me that he was gonna do that fucking spot with the baby, like when we filmed the promo at his house. He's like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna drop a baby on him."
Yo, I couldn't see it from my vantage point, but did Alfonso do like a flip or something after the baby dropped on him?
He sold it like a fucking Rana. I got it on video. He took a Hurricane Rana from Coda's another really good, like Coda has a great mind for the business. I don't know like who knows and who doesn't know, but like Alfonso and Coda helped book Ego Pro.
Hmm.
So like Coda is a very, very, very smart wrestling mind, and I don't think over time it's going to show a lot more. But I
Right.
see it just because I work with him all the time. But he's very, very smart with the way he puts together matches, and he's like already a ring general, and he's younger than me. I think he's like 24.
Yep. Yeah, I mean both of them, Alfonso and Code. I think that they have a pretty bright future. So we're kind of rolling.
Oh, you have to have a bright future.
Oh, for sure. No, you're right. That's for sure. I was just saying we're kind of winding down, but I did want to ask you about two more questions, and then one question for myself personally, because your background intrigued me. So I know that you've done all this photography and you've reached a certain ceiling, but if there was any dream match or any match that you would want to shoot, is there one in particular that you still haven't gotten a chance to or would want to if you had the ability to? Like two wrestlers, tag team match, any specific group of people, or promotion?
Unfortunately, that kind of comes back around to my like perfectionist mindset, where I'm like, I would do anything to shoot a match with anybody that I've watched as a kid. It'd be hard for me to narrow down something that broad, but if I had to say modern, man, I'd love to shoot a Chad Gable match. I think that'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Or Shelton Benjamin, like I'd love to work with him sometime. That'd be cool.
I want you to film a Chad Gable like vignette. I like your style, and I think that look awesome with Chad Gable.
Yeah, Chad Gable would be cool. Dude, like O2 Jeff Hardy, like man, dude, like when he had the glow in the dark face paint and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. If I had to, in an ideal scenario, in a world that does not exist, I would want to shoot Stone Cold's last match with The Rock at WrestleMania 19. I think
That's a good answer.
yeah, because that was like the send off to my childhood. Because I was a Stone Cold. I was a fan of The Rock too, but Stone Cold was my guy. So that probably would have been it.
Good answer.
I got a question. You still
Go
got
for it.
that glorious mullet under that hat?
Yeah, I do. It's
Hell
just
yeah.
I got a hat here right now.
Yeah.
I did cut it recently. It's a little shorter now. I might cut it back out. I don't know.
Voice.
Do it.
Mentally unstable people can never like keep their hair a specific way. It's always different all the time. So I don't know. It might change.
Hey, you gotta shake things up. Nothing wrong with that.
It's okay, bro. Hey, we have to acknowledge the real. Like I think me and Shazza McKenzie were talking about this. 'Cause me and her very much like she was like, oh my god, when I had pink hair, she was like, that was when I was at my worst. I'm like, how do you think I feel right now? It's just
Love
I'll
that.
show it off here.
Yeah.
Guys can see. Look at that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The hairline's intact. 30 and I still got
Yeah, man. I feel
That's
that.
good. Good genes. And not everyone can rock a mullet, but you can rock a mullet, and I would say you should keep it. So.
To be honest, dude, I feel like it's it's last year. Like I feel like it's
What's that one?
Hey,
What's that podcast dude that has that mullet? You know what I'm talking about? What's his name?
Theo Vaughn.
Theo Vaughn.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that a lot.
I see, Chris, you're not original. Sorry.
Dang.
So, in terms of like advice, I guess, if you want to give any advice to anyone who wants to be a wrestling photographer or cinematographer, or get into indie wrestling and taking pictures, what would you say your advice would be for those folks?
Okay. Now, I'm probably gonna sound like an asshole, or I'm just a very real, very blunt person, and I'm always gonna be that way. Um, my advice is, I have a few pieces of advice. The biggest piece of advice is don't be a fucking mark. Dude, I'm for real. Like, if you see somebody, if you're working a show with people that so happen to be on TV, or you know them, treat the people that you don't see on TV with the same respect that you treat these people. Don't just focus on
Right.
taking pictures or photos of Danhausen or whoever it is that they bring in, because that's very disrespectful to the company, to the boys, to wrestling. Like, you're showing
Right.
that your mindset is actually behind you getting clout, not trying to document what's happening right now.
Yeah.
People, I think, tend to forget that, like you mentioned it earlier, wrestling not is very storied, not just in Chicago, but in general.
Right.
Um, and I think that's lost upon a lot of these new guys is the fact that you're a part of history right now. Like, you might not be thinking about it, and depending on what you're doing, it might vary. Like, you might be doing a shindy, okay, compared to something like Deadlock, but it's still going to be on cagematch.net. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
these, I think those are things that are kind of lost today, that get taken for granted for. So that's one piece of advice: is treat everybody the same. Um, have your mark out inside, not outside. Um, a more helpful piece of advice, I guess, would be just ask. A lot of the times, people that get in the business because they know somebody.
Right.
There's no school for this shit unless you're trying to become a wrestler. There's no college course. There's no degree. I don't have anything hanging on my wall that says I'm like certified to fucking shoot anything. I got to where I am. I got to where I am because I feel like I've proved myself enough to earn those opportunities. Um, so you got to start somewhere, and you might not get paid the first time, or the second time, or the third time, but
Right.
you're gonna build up your portfolio, and people are gonna see your stuff, and over time, you'll make the money, you'll get the bookings. It all comes with patience and grace, really. And one other thing. You can be the best studio photographer. You can be the best concert photographer. You can be the best newborn baby photographer in the country, in the world. That does not mean you can step by the ring and do anything close to what any of us are doing.
Right.
And that goes for me too. I couldn't go to a newborn baby and be like taking pictures because I don't know the right angles or how to position just shit like that. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I have, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Um, Even if they seem silly, not every like I was saying earlier, I picked up a camera with no experience, and I kind of self-taught everything. So if you don't ask questions, it's going to be hard to learn, especially if you're self-teaching, which it tends to be the case in wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I think that those are valid points. So you definitely have to be a sponge and take in as much information as you can, ask those questions, and honestly, like just hearing stories like from Paul Heyman folks, it seems like it goes a long way if you just go up and like maybe ask folks, like if you can take pictures or whatever. It's kind of funny how a lot of that happens in wrestling.
It does.
Um,
That's how Jim Cornette started as a photographer.
yeah,
Or
just
did.
asking.
That's exactly what it is, and it's daunting. And we live in like a society now where like anxiety kind of like rules over everything. but it'll never hurt. Like, it's only gonna hurt your ego, and if it hurts your ego, then that says more about you than it does about what you're trying to do.
I agree.
Man.
And one last question, and this is completely unrelated to wrestling, but I did notice your Tomba merchandise.
Oh my God, you fucking dude, yes.
Wait, where do you
So
see that?
Right there. He's got the coma pig. He's got that.
Oh, I didn't notice it.
Yes.
Oh, I love the fact that somebody knows about this besides me. Because
Yes.
let me tell you something. I was the biggest Tomba fan, and I don't know why. Like, maybe it's just, like the
Pink hair.
Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, so did you see that they recently they did a re-release for like the Switch and the PS5 and all that?
Bro, you're also talking to a huge Tomba fan. So
Yeah.
this just feels very strange that I found someone who's actually into Tomba. And so, yes. So me and my brother, we played the original like in 98 or 99. So the first time we played it was we got the demo disc from like Toys R Us or whatever, and it was a demo disc of Tomba 1. And we played the first one a little later, like we went to GameStop, and then we got Tomba 2. Like we actually bought that at Toys R Us and played that. And for the longest time, I'm like, man, I wish they made a Tomba 3. I wish they remastered it. And then, yeah, the limited run games came out with the remaster that came out in August. I didn't get the special edition like you did, and that looks awesome, and I'm kicking myself in the ass for that. But yes, I just had to point that out. So you tell me, how are you a Tomba fan? Because that's crazy. It's so niche.
I've always I knew that I was gonna be weird when I liked Luigi and everybody else liked Mario. You
Right.
know what
Love
I mean?
that.
Like, so all those weird like obscure games. Are you like kind of into games a little bit then?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I wrote for I wrote for Sega Nerds, and then there was an off spin off of that called Megavisions, and I was it was like a physical retro gaming magazine that was kind of like on demand, so we would be printing retro gaming magazines, and I did a Toma review in that magazine that I have somewhere here, but I can't find it. But yes, I'm a huge gamer.
Like Croc, I fucking love Croc.
Croc, yes,
Oh.
yes.
Any like underrated, not even underrated, any game that people usually hate or don't know of, I fucking love. So
Yeah.
I don't know honestly what I think the first Tomba I played was the second one. I don't think I played the demo like you said. I also had that, but I think the only time I actually played it was the second one until I became an adult and then like revisited them. But dude, anything from that era, I'm sure you can see over there. That's a big ass Banjo Kazooie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna ask what's on there.
Stat, bro, that thing's worth like $500. The one above it's Spyro.
Spyro, yeah.
Down there is Crash and Aku Aku.
Oh, I
Oh
was
yeah,
wearing.
Crash
I love
Bandicoot,
Crash.
yeah.
I had my Crash shirt on earlier today.
Dude, oh, and then over in this corner, I got fucking Blue Eyes White Dragon and Dark Magician and I got
nice.
Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon shit. Yeah,
Oh man, we gotta hang out in real life now.
dude,
For real.
Basically one of us
Yeah,
likes wrestling.
that's crazy.
wrestling likes all the nerdy shit. Dude, yeah, man. I even got the Barbie fucking popcorn container that they sold.
Ah, nice.
That's amazing.
That just means you have to
Yeah,
dye
honestly-
your mullet pink.
I honestly
think.
thought the Banjo Kazooie was like a Bergermon or something, like a Digimon right there. But I guess that like that middle shelf, that's the Banjo Kazooie, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Banjo
I got-
and Tooie.
There's a big ass banjo statue, and then I have like there's like a 7-inch figure that DNA Toys I think released last year, and then I have like the Diddy Kong Racing banjo like in the way back.
Nice.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
nice. Empty backpack, just backpack.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
fucking empty backpack, no
Yeah.
Kazooie.
Well, that's awesome. I feel like now this could go a whole other hour.
Yeah, right. Yeah, now we just went to a whole different fucking segue.
This is a second. You know what? We'll wrap it up here, but I do want to invite you back for maybe a later episode. We could just talk about platformers like Tomba and Banjo-Kazooie.
I would love that.
Yes.
I would love that.
Because I could definitely talk about that for hours. Crash Bandicoot, Croc, Jersey Devil. I don't know if you remember that, but that was like another one. Yeah.
Gex.
It's like late 90s,
Gex,
early
yeah.
2000s
Yeah,
platforms.
Gex.
Yeah, Gex.
Blasto.
That's another one.
Hit and Run.
Hit and Run. What
Hit and Run.
Played a
Simpsons
lot
Hit
of
and
Hit and
Run?
Run.
Yeah,
Fuck yeah.
So much Hit and Run.
You said
that's that shit, boy.
I still got Road Rage on my computer.
fucking Burger King ass fucking toys. I got all the Simpsons from Burger King.
Oh yeah, he's
91.
got the ones that watch him do bad things.
Oh, I guess I have one in my immediate vicinity. So yeah, right here, I got one of those babies. Great, awesome. Well, I think that's a great way to end this episode. That's a wrap for this episode of the Chi-Town Shoot Podcast. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, rate us, and leave your feedback. Tune in next time for more wrestling madness. Until then, keep marking out.